Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown went on MSNBC to shed some light on what senators were going through as insurrectionists had breached the Capitol and essentially threatened members of Congress. Now, Lindsey Graham is someone who has enabled Donald Trump. Lindsey Graham is someone who has covered for Donald Trump because, in his own words, he thinks it's important to stay relevant. So what was Lindsey Graham up to? What was going on as these senators were in a secure location? Here's Senator Sherrod Brown to explain.
I heard when the 75 senators were confined in a room with about 75 staff people, Lindsey Graham with his mask off started screaming at one of the officers. I think it was one of the captains, saying, "How come you didn't protect us since you're doing your job?" This is the same Lindsey Graham that for 5 years, or for 4 years, he didn't do it at the beginning, defended and argued for and encouraged and aided and abetted this president and all of his followers. Who were perhaps as extreme.
Senator, while you were still in the emergency of it, you saw Senator Graham yelling or berating an officer. I mean, what was he getting at? What can you tell us about that? Do you think he was wrong to do that?
Yeah, I've not said this publicly yet, but when I hear Graham and these others say these things, and he was screaming at an officer, he had his mask off, screaming at his officer from 5 feet away. I was maybe 10 feet on the other side. And that the officer that the police didn't do enough to protect us.
Well, the police didn't do enough to protect anyone, but there was a lot more done for members of Congress versus everyone else who was in that awful situation. I mean, we saw images and video of some Capitol Police taking selfies with these insurrectionists, and I bring that up because it is important to investigate, the Capitol Police and make sure that we don't have people who sympathize with right-wing extremists working in that position that's meant to keep people safe. But a spokeswoman for Graham confirmed Brown's account, by the way, but said that the senator shouted at the Senate Sergeant at Arms, the top law enforcement officer in the Senate. Graham made his feelings known directly to him, the spokeswoman said. So Ben, what do you make of this? I mean, it's the chickens coming home to roost. I don't want anyone to get hurt, but I'm curious what you think about Graham's reaction to this.
He aided and abetted this like the entire time, right? They created this monster, and it's coming back to destroy them. And the fact is, it is their own constituents. And so for Graham to yell at anyone, he should be yelling not only at his constituents but also at the president of the United States who fomented this violence. And two, also one thing that's very important with regard to the Capitol Police, I think sometimes we forget that there are a lot of police officers in any capacity at any level, federal or local. They are not apolitical. They are political actors who simply have on a uniform, and putting on that uniform does not take away their political ideology. And if you look at voting records, you'll see a lot of them do lean Republican or even Donald Trump. So, I mean, they are always there in that capacity, whether or not they have on a uniform or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. And right now, the military is grappling with something that I'm sure they've known, but now they have to at least give the appearance of doing something about it. And it's the infiltration of white nationalists and white supremacists who are sympathetic to what happened in the Capitol last week with these insurrectionists breaching the building and threatening lawmakers' lives, in an effort to overturn the results of a democratic process. But I'm not shocked that Senator Graham was shook by what took place, because remember when the Congress reconvened, that was when he gave this impassioned speech about the election is over, Joe Biden has won. I mean, he was talking about it in such a way that you would think, if that was the first speech you've seen from Lindsey Graham, you would think that he was on the right side the entire time, right? Yeah. And people were giving him credit for that speech. He doesn't deserve credit. Remember, Lindsey Graham is the one who pledged $500,000 of his own money for Trump's legal battles, court battles, where they're alleging widespread voter fraud. He's lost every single one of them. His lawyers have failed to provide a shred of evidence in regard to widespread voter fraud. But to your point, Ben, Lindsey Graham had enabled these lies and the deception all throughout. And for him to now be shocked at what he's going through, what other lawmakers are going through, is just ridiculous and pathetic. He should take responsibility for his role in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I should also note, Sherrod Brown mentioned that he was screaming at this Capitol police officer, without a mask on, while COVID is still ripping through the country. I'm really sad to share that Representative Pramila Jayapal tested positive for COVID following the riots that took place. She specifically mentioned that when she was in a secure location with other members of Congress, including, of course, Republican Congress people, they refused to wear masks. There was a video that went viral that showed them mocking people who were offering them masks. And so this is how COVID spreads. And these people who have absolutely no empathy for other people's lives, while simultaneously pretending like they're pro-life, just have no right to represent anything in this country. Clearly, if they don't value other people's lives and they don't respect keeping other people safe during this pandemic, how can we trust them to be in a position of power in this country?
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.